Good morning, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about EPA's announcement yesterday regarding the setting of new interim health advisory levels for several compounds within the PFAS family, the per and polyfluoroalkyl aqua substance family. For our community, there's several compounds that are very relevant. The first one being PFOS, the second one being PFOA, and the third one being PFBS. We have not detected Gen X within our community, which is a good thing. Health advisory levels are guidelines that help communities and for us, utilities, as we go ahead and we make plans to safeguard the health and well-being of our community and to minimize risk. And so that is exactly how we look at health advisory levels. They're non-enforceable, they're non-regulatory. But again, they're very good guidelines for us to go ahead and plan to make sure that we minimize risk within our community. Is our water safe? Absolutely and emphatically, yes, it is. We perform hundreds of thousands of water quality tests on our water each year, and it meets or exceeds all state and federal regulatory limits and parameters for water quality. What the Water Supply Division within Water Resources takes a lot of pride in safeguarding and upholding the quality of the water that we send to all of our customers. I want to talk a little bit more about PFOS and PFOA and PFBS as it relates to, it's in our community, what levels are we seeing and have we seen? We post our results that we take, the sample results that we take for PFOS and PFOA online, and it's available for our customers for you to go ahead and look at it. And these samples that we've been taking date all the way back to 2018, even before then, but for 2018 on, you can look at that data. And if you look at the average for PFOS, it's 28.1 parts per trillion. And for PFOA, it's 4.3 parts per trillion. And for PFBS, it's less than 5 parts per trillion. So very low concentrations. And to provide a little context, a part per trillion is equivalent to taking an eyedropper and putting one drop from that eyedropper in a pool of water. That's an Olympic-sized pool of water, which is about 660,000 gallons. That's 1 part per trillion. And if we look at, this announcement that the EPA put out yesterday, these health advisory levels, they have changed over time. The first one dates back to 2009, where they set for PFOS and PFOA, they set the health advisory level at 200 parts per trillion. And then based on more recent analytical data and scientific data and health risk data, it changed in 2016 to 70 parts per trillion. And now we find ourselves in 2022, and they've gone even lower. They've gone to 0.004 parts per trillion for PFOA and 0.02 parts per trillion for PFOS. Very low concentrations that we see, and 2,000 parts per trillion for PFBS. But again, our commitment is to use these as guidelines as we continue our planning. And that brings me to my last question that I would like to answer as far as what are the changes in our community? What are we doing, Water Resources doing, in light of this announcement by EPA? Well, we certainly recognize the significance and the importance of this announcement and the significance of the health advisory levels. And it doesn't deter us. We have been very proactive in our community to address these emerging contaminants, the PFAS emerging contaminants. It dates all the way back to 2015 when City Council approved us doing a watershed study and evaluation to determine where they're coming from and what concentrations. Ultimately to today, where we find ourselves today, where we are currently doing pilot testing of advanced treatment technology at our Mitchell water treatment plant. And once that pilot testing is complete, we'll be able to select the best treatment technology that will be able to remove these emerging contaminants to near non-detect levels. So the pilot testing will turn into engineering design, and then engineering design will turn into construction. So in the near future here, we'll be able to go ahead and continue with our plan to be able to ultimately treat these emerging contaminants and ensure the health and well-being of our community.